This is definitely one of my more delusional ideas, but for the longest time I've been convinced one of my favourite games is a modern apocalyptic retelling of Alice in Wonderland. And yet no one is pointing out the similarities. I ended up starting a new playthrough recently and have only become even more convinced. And now I need to tell you. Let me introduce you to Devil Survivor 2. If you're unfamiliar, this game is a part of the same franchise as the Persona games. They're kind of like alternate universes of each other, I guess. All the games in the Megami Tensei series feature the same monsters, just with different characters and settings. And of all the titles in the series, Devil Survivor 2 is far and away my favourite. In this universe, God has judged humanity as a failure and thus decides to end the world. Over the course of a week, the god unleashes 7 alien disasters onto Earth, designed to cull and eventually completely obliterate humanity. However, some other godly being takes pity on humanity and gives them a way to fight back. He grants a few talented humans the ability to make contracts with demons using an app on their phone. Our main character is one of these demon tamers. Obviously, because it's a game, you get to name the protagonist whatever you want, and also the game has multiple endings and stuff, so for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna go with the canon presented in the anime adaptation, which is actually really good and not a disaster like the Persona 5 one. This is Hibiki. After surviving a train crash caused by the start of the apocalypse and along with 2 of his friends, he discovers he has the power to control demons. The 3 are swiftly recruited by the government, specifically an agency founded by people who knew the apocalypse was coming and are prepared to fight back. Over the next 7 days, the demon tamers attempt to defeat the calamities and save humanity. The ending is relevant for what I'm going to say later, so here's the spoiler warning. No matter which ending you achieve in the game, a lot of people die along the way, including most of humanity and the demon tamers. The anime ending plays out like a sort of battle royale, with the last surviving human taking the role of the new god. There comes a point where Hibiki realizes the new world Yamato, the leader of the government agency, wants to create is a meritocracy, where only the strong are valued. And so Hibiki, who wants to restore the world to how it was, minus all the death and destruction, begins to oppose him, eventually gaining his own following. As the final Sunday comes around, slowly the world disintegrates and all of humanity is destroyed, leaving Hibiki and Yamato as the last 2 people on Earth. They battle it out and Hibiki comes out on top. He restores the world to how it was as promised. In the new world, everything is the same as it was before. Everyone who died is back to life, but now humanity is safe and people can live out their lives happily. No one has any memory of the torment they went through. That sounds absolutely nothing like Alice in Wonderland, I hear you say. Wrong. Let's begin with what sent me down this rabbit hole in the first place, Hibiki's design. For the whole week, Hibiki wears a white jacket that has long ears attached to the hood. He looks exactly like a white rabbit. And this is completely intentional, as if you watch closely, you'll learn that Hibiki does in fact love rabbits. Aside from being cute and memorable, this single choice of jacket holds so much symbolic weight. When I say white rabbit, what's the first thing you think of? Surely it would have to be Alice in Wonderland. The 1865 novel, which is actually titled Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, but whatever, starts with our main character Alice following a white rabbit through a hole and into Wonderland. In contrast to our young main character, you could consider the white rabbit to be symbolic of adult life. He acts out of pure compulsion. Compulsions to be on time, to meet some kind of deadline. He's in a constant state of anxiety about what's to come in the future. This is Hibiki. On the day the apocalypse starts, he's on his way home after completing his mock exams for university. He's at that awkward period in life between high school and entering the real world. Nonetheless, he's hopeful about the future. That is, until the start of the apocalypse. The end of the world serves as his incredibly extreme entry into life as an adult. In a matter of hours, he's been forced to take on more responsibility than he ever should and has to figure out how to fix everything and save everyone before this deadline of 7 days hits. Just like the White Rabbit, he's compelled to rush towards this deadline. Looking at character design and the role they play in the story, we also have a perfect representation of the Cheshire Cat. Remember how in the summary at the start of this video I talked about the other godly being who took pity on humanity and gave them the ability to make contracts with demons? This is him, Alcor. The parallels in their designs are obvious. Both are stripy, smile a lot, and are oddly creepy. Alcor's role in the story also mirrors a lot of the Cheshire Cat's. In the novel, the Cheshire Cat acts somewhat like a guide for for Alice. Wonderland is chaotic, and the cat itself is one of the more unusual creatures, and yet it takes the time to listen to Alice and explain to her the details about the place. The cat is also interesting because it actively recognizes how absurd Wonderland is. Every other entity in Wonderland is mad, but the Cheshire Cat has a level of self-awareness, an understanding of the situation as a whole that the others don't. However, this doesn't mean the Cheshire Cat is a good person, or a good cat. It could have just guided Alice completely, but it chooses not to. Instead, it disappears and reappears as it sees fit. It enjoys watching the chaos unfold. Alcor is very similar. His true identity is the final calamity sent to destroy humanity. Just like the cat, he's one of the more perplexing parts of this mad world. But he also has self-awareness. He develops this fondness for Hibiki, randomly appearing before him and guiding him when he feels like it, and spouting absolute nonsense when he doesn't. He's the one who gave humans a way to fight back against the end of the world. But again, this doesn't mean he's a good person. He could have done more to help. Explain the system, give it to everyone, make it stronger, or even just fight God himself. But he chooses not to. He likes seeing what humanity can accomplish on their own. We have the White Rabbit and the Cheshire Cat, so what about Alice? Funnily enough, Alice is actually a character in the game. The monsters in the Megami Tensei games are all based on some kind of myth, legend, or story. Most are Asian folklore. There's also a lot of biblical references, but there are some more unusual ones. Like Alice, for example. In the series, she's based on a combination of the character from the novel and a ghost story. One about a ghost of a young girl who befriends naughty children and then kills them. In Devil Survivor 2, she's a bonus boss that can only be unlocked after defeating the main bosses on day 7. And she can be very difficult to beat. She has an attack fittingly called Die For Me that will just obliterate your team if she gets close enough. Once you manage to defeat her, you can form a contract with her and use her in other battles. Other than that, she doesn't play a large role in the story or anything. Her being in the game isn't the reason I thought up all this. Actually, I didn't even know she was in the game until I was writing this video. Rather, I believe humanity as a whole is representative of Alice. They're thrown into this chaotic world that goes against everything they've ever known with seemingly no way out. The only people who do know what's going on are kind of insane and not really helpful to the vast majority of people. Come the finale of the series, the remaining people are given no choice but to keep following this White Rabbit all the way to the end. Speaking of which, the ending of both series are also very similar. In Alice in Wonderland, just before she is about to be executed by the Queen of Hearts, Alice wakes up. She's back in the real world, sitting under a tree with her sister. Wonderland was nothing more than a dream. The Devil Survivor 2 anime ends in much the same way. One by one, every human on Earth is killed. There's no one left to witness the finale, the battle that unfolds between Hibiki and Yamato. Instead, all of humanity just wakes up, back in their normal lives, right before this week of hell started. There's no destruction, no death, no aliens or demons, just their regular lives in the real world. Hibiki and Yamato are the only two people left that remember what happened. But in the new world, the system doesn't exist. There's no looming threat and there's no way for them to go back. At that point, the past week basically was just a dream. Or maybe that's how they'll feel after many years pass. So did I manage to convince you? Even if you don't see the whole Alice in Wonderland thing, I hope I've sold you on this game. It is severely underrated compared to the Persona games. Anyway, thank you for your time.